Is it a matter of incredulity? Are you being incredulous if you take a certain position and hold that position and you are unwavering? I would imagine when you think about military people who are fighting in a battle, and they have to be single-minded in their thinking that they have to accomplish this mission in a battlefield. Let's say if there's a hill you have to take. You have to hold that thought in your mind that we are going to win. And you have to believe it no matter what. And fight like you can win. Because if you have doubts, you're going to get defeated. You might get defeated anyway if you think you're going to win, but still, you're definitely going to get defeated if you have any doubts. In battles, you have to do that. If I'm a lawyer and I'm trying to defend my client, I got to hold that position and fight for my client. If I'm a prosecutor, I got to fight for my client. If I'm a doctor and I got a patient, I got to believe that this patient is going to survive, and I'm going to everything in my power, I'm going to do it to get this person to live. If you're a person building a building, you got to think, yes, I'm going to get this thing done. And if our funding runs short, we're going to find some way. We're going to come up with money somehow. Progress happens because people move forward. They forge forward. They hold a position and it keeps moving forward. But it can get silly at times. Sometimes there are times when you should quit. I was thinking about this book by Seth Godin, and I strongly recommend it. It's a book called The Dip. And in that book, The Dip, it's I wish I had a copy of it so I could because I always like to grab things and show and tell, It's called The Dip, D-I-P, Dip. So there's no, mistake as to what word I said. The thing is that that book is very interesting. It's a very short book too. He talks about this whole thing about that there's a time when you should quit. There's a time when you realize you've gotten to a cul-de-sac, in life. But, people who succeed are people who get to this point where it seems like you're fighting this battle and it seems like you're not going to win. But if you just pushed a little bit harder and keep going a little bit longer, you get past that dip and then things will start getting better. I think that also in life, there are times when you have to recognize that something isn't getting better. I think he used a really good example. He was talking about the space program. I mean, the space program has really gone about as far as it can go in its current way. They have to change their approach now. They can't go with the old ways they did, with the Apollo mission and everything else in the early days of the space shuttle. It's kind of reached a bit of a dead end. And I think in the future, space travel stuff is going to go corporate. It's going to have to. I don't think that people are going to stop going up there, but it's going to be more corporations doing it than the government. But that's beside the point. The point is that being wise in life is knowing when to quit. If you take a position and you realize it's not working, you need to quit sometimes. I think that with some people with certain religious arguments need to quit. I think that the creationists need to quit with that stuff. But they haven't got to that point yet. I was just watching a video where Richard Dawkins was talking about the creationists and things like that. I just don't buy into creationism. I think it's like wishful thinking as an argument. But it's never been a good argument. The intelligent design argument has never been a good one as proof that there's a God. I've said it in one of my earlier videos a long time ago that I don't believe anybody can prove that God exists. I really don't think you can prove that God exists. In fact, I think it's impossible to prove that God exists. But I do believe in God. I just don't think you can prove it. I don't think you can prove God's existence. And I think you definitely can't prove it with intelligent design. Forging ahead is important, but sometimes you get to a point where you get to a wall. When you get to a wall, you can't forge ahead. You just have to stop and go around or turn back or do something. There is a time when you need to retreat. There's a time when you need to quit. And you have to be wise enough to know when, because there are other times when things are hard and you shouldn't just give up because things get difficult. I think a lot of people, it's a personal thing, you know. It's just like if I quit, if I give up the battle, if I don't push forward with this, then I'm personally a loser. No, you're not a loser. You know, you're being wise about it. So I would strongly recommend to a lot of people that want to push the creationist agenda, they need to quit, because it's just not working. It's not helping anything. It's just, you've reached this point where you're not going to get past the dip. You're going to just be stuck in a ditch, so to speak. This is my video, my first video of 2010. And it's really just something I want to say. You know, when I make my videos, I don't sit there and get all, like, try to become very deep thinker. I'm just talking out things. But there's a time when you need to quit. And if you know when to quit, you can focus on more productive things. I've learned that too in my life. You know, a long time ago, by the way, just as a short little story, I always got to have a story. A long time ago, I actually tried out for the Chicago White Sox. Yeah, I thought I could play baseball. After 2 times trying out, I didn't make it, so I quit. And I think it was a good thing, because I was able to pursue other things which were more meaningful to me. But that was something, I'm glad I tried that, though. I'm glad I actually did that I had that experience. You know, I had a chance to actually have the experience of pitching in Comiskey Park for a moment. Even if it was just a tryout, it was a thrill to me. The old Comiskey Park, and then they tore that down and built U.S. Cellular Field. But that's all I have to say.